think we're live. I'm going to create a link for Ethan really quick. Be right back. Wait. Okay, Rodeo's acting funny already. That's wonderful. Here we go. All right. Let me just send this to Ethan. Hi, welcome. This is the setup part that is so far unavoidable. Is this going to work? No, it's not. Let's try it one more time. Great, super smooth intro here. Let's see. Okay, invite created. Here we go. Okay, I'm back. I'm here. It's working. We're waiting on Ethan. Hello, everyone who is here already. Let's see if it's actually working. Oop. Let me kill my Dropbox because my Dropbox will kill my stream. All right. Hey, Ethan.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Good. Yeah, I can see you, can hear you. Presumably that means it's working. People, I haven't seen anything in the chat yet, so if anyone's in there, I see like 11 people watching already. So if anyone can say hi in there, just so we know chat's working too, that would be cool. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, I'm here in LA for just over a week more, so
Nice.
It's been awesome though. It's been awesome. I've been here since the 19th of April, working on a film. I'll get into that a bit later.
Nice.
How's it going, Caitlin?
Hey, Caitlin. Cool. Okay, everything's working. We got Ethan, we got Caitlin, we got 12 more people already. So, yeah, cool. Well, welcome. Thanks for coming on, man. I'm really excited to actually get to chat. Yeah, this is great. Just as a quick little intro, I kind of have met Ethan through sort of the Night Shift Discord stuff. Really jumped in right away on the with some beautiful work from the kind of calibration series, which I will say I'm not seeing the button that lets me share work right now, which is a little concerning because I have a bunch of your photos saved for that purpose, which I don't like. That I'm not seeing that right now, but I might just give it a second and see if it comes back. I wonder if they pushed out some weird update or something. There's no way. I don't know. Let's see if it pops in a second. But yeah. So first, kind of got to know Ethan's work through that, which is some really standout, beautiful photos of the moon, and then as we got to know him better, we've gotten to see a lot of his live concert photography and videography, which is really, really sick. And yeah, I know a lot of people in the Discord are big fans of it.
Yeah. Do you want me to go into anything?
Yeah, sure. I mean, first of all, I just so you were just in LA, but are you still living in Washington, D.C.?
Yes, so I'm East Coast based. I'm just out here. I'm out here for a month-long period working on a film. It's the first film, actual film that I've worked on outside of college since I just graduated 8 months ago. So it's going awesome. I'm really enjoying it. It's been cold here though. It's been colder than I thought it was going to be.
That's not necessarily a bad thing though. Better than the opposite in a lot of ways.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I'm East Coast based. I've been doing photography and video stuff since before I can not before I can remember, but I can always remember even when I feel living in the first house that I lived in, I feel my parents got me one of those little Sony handy cams, and I was just in love with making tiny little stupid short things with my brother and whoever I could bring along. And it wasn't until high school that I really kind of started, I feel honing in on it. I kind of that's when I first got my first DSLR, and I really learned how actual photography works. I didn't take any photo classes, but I was doing a lot of theater stuff in high school, and I would help out where needed and taking people's headshots and getting behind the scenes pictures and stuff. So that's kind of how I first kind of got into it. And then after school, I know I did that Google form link, and I know one person had filled it out. I forget what his name was, but he asked me a few questions, and this is technically answering one of those questions. So I went to film school at Ithaca College for 4.5 years. I knew right out of the gate of high school kind of that I wanted to go and pursue doing a film and photography degree. Um, a lot of my friends in college that were in my major ended up switching out and either doing like a photography specific or film specific program. But I just even now, even after graduating, I can't, I obviously have different reasons for enjoying the different mediums of either photography or videography, but it was definitely like an easy choice for me to be able to do that program and be able to hone in my skills on both of them. Because for what I've been doing recently is a lot of EDM photography. I kind of started off with my concert photography stuff. Also in high school, we did like a talent show, but it wasn't like your normal, just like, kids doing fucking stupid stuff talent show. It was, I think there was probably like around like 60 different acts that would like audition every year, and like probably like 10 to 12 of them would get a slot.
Yeah.
So it was very, it was kind of like a big deal at my school, and I was able to do photography for that, and get some cool shots of people performing and stuff. So that kind of, I think, really started my at least like mental progression for wanting to do music photography and videography. And I feel like also just like when I would go to music festivals and I would see the photographers in the pit, and if I was up on rails, I would always try to chit chat with them, and it always just, everyone always in that community seemed like they were so cool and like so humble and so willing to like share knowledge about how they got to the positions that they're in. And so it was my last year of college. I was working at a bar, bouncing at a bar, and became good friends with one of the DJs there. And he got hired to go ahead and he was DJing these Bad Bunny parties in upstate New York, all over. Like I was in Albany, Syracuse, Buffalo. I was going all over the place with him. And that was the first kind of time that I was really doing like, not just like for fun. I was actually going out somewhere, traveling to go and do concert photography.
Yeah.
And the first couple shows, obviously, I kind of needed to get in there and kind of figure out how everything works. And after a couple shows, I really was enjoying myself. I got a new camera, switched from Canon to Sony.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, I've always enjoyed EDM, but hell yeah, Cinema Gorilla Bad Bunny parties. I got my Bad Bunny shirt on. I won't show the logo. Yeah, so I mean, I've always enjoyed EDM. I mean, I feel like everyone in middle school, at least for my age demographic, I feel like everyone listened to Skrillex at some point.
Yeah,
just like,
sure.
Yeah. But it was really last year at Firefly Music Festival, which is in Delaware, that I just hung out in the EDM tent the entire weekend, basically, aside from like a couple of like the larger acts that I wanted to see. And I just it was just fantastic. Like I've always enjoyed EDM, but that was my first time like really like kind of trying to step myself into the space. I wasn't doing photography or anything there. I was just there as like, a festival attendee. And then after that, I kind of started looking into doing EDM photography and videography. And much like how I met you through Discord and everyone else on the Night Shift Discord, I came across a Discord that was for EDM photographers and videographers.
Oh, nice. It's so like specific, but also makes total sense that would exist.
It was like perfect timing for me. And everyone that I've met through there has just been phenomenal. I've had like multiple interactions with people that I've met in that Discord that are shooting the same shows that I go and shoot, and we like meet and take pictures with each other. Like it's awesome. But honestly, like I don't like it's crazy because like I feel like when Discord first came out, in like when I first started hearing about it in 2015, even though my Discord account is from 2015, I feel like I was always like, oh, Discord's fucking stupid. Why don't people just use Skype or TeamSpeak?
Yeah,
but obviously, obviously just there's everything now.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm so happy that I was able to find both the Night Shift Discord, but also that EDM, because my main thing was, you know, the actual techniques and specifics of photography. I had that down.
Yeah.
What I did not have down was kind of just the social constructs of the whole thing.
For sure.
Mass emailing managers, you know, being able, you know, making portfolios, you know, it's and just like the connections is the main thing that I've learned over this whole thing. Is that, you know, you can have 50 followers on Instagram, but be booked for big X if you have the connections.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what a lot of people that I talk to, that's like, and it's the same thing that we talk about in Night Shift all the time, and it's fighting the algorithm.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I know so many photography friends that have just like stopped posting on Instagram because they're like, oh, it's not even worth it anymore. Right. But it's like, I'm one that, like, even though, yeah, I totally do look at my like counts, and if I don't get like a certain amount of likes, like, you know, if I'm not getting like a like a minute, I'm like, oh fuck, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like that's just like how we've kind of adapted to think of how this, like, how media sharing should be, is that like, oh, it needs to have all these likes and thumbs up. But really, for me at this point, over the past couple of months, I've like, my posting on Instagram, I stopped kind of posting altogether on my main Instagram account. I kind of really only post on my film photography one. And that's more so, it's less to like be showing to people that are my followers. And I found it's more so an easier way. I found that managers will more likely go to your Instagram page than go and click on your website portfolio link.
Definitely, yeah, because they know they're going to get a quick, like, bite-sized look at. They know exactly what they're getting. They're not going to have to figure out how to navigate your site and like all that
exactly
stuff. Yeah.
So, you know, even though I spent like a week working on my website, it's like Instagram, and Instagram is like the place that I really post now for, as I said, portfolio reasons. And I feel like for videos and stuff that I want to share, that I think like those are cool, that I think people would want to see, I feel like at that point I push those to TikTok. Even though I don't get like a ton of views. I had my moment of fame on TikTok. I have like my video with 19.7 million. I had my time. My time. But now it's like 200 views and I'm happy, you know.
I mean, same, man. I'm right there with you. TikTok changed my life, and then it changed it right back.
Well, yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, that Discord kind of taught me everything. And since then, I joined that Discord in January. I had just graduated. I was on vacation for my birthday in Jamaica.
January of this year
is when I started shooting EDM photography. Yeah. And while I was in Jamaica, I got an email back from this guy, DeadX, or his manager. And that was the first, you know, booking that I had gotten. And then it was like crazy, because like then right after that one, someone for the same show also booked me that was like doing a different stage. And then when I got there, the headliner, Little Texas, didn't have a photographer, so DeadX got me a gig shooting for him too. So I ended up with 3 gigs on my first night of shooting, which was kind of a lot, but at the same time, it kind of threw me in there. I always find, even now, like, I mean, I guess part of it is I kind of switch around into different venues a lot. Even though I'm DC based, the venue I've shot the most is the Ave in Philadelphia, just because I feel like a lot of the artists that I kind of shoot for, like, I mean, I'll shoot for any EDM artist, but I feel like the ones that I kind of more so look for are usually there. But I shot at Echo Stage right before I headed out to LA. And if you don't know, Echo Stage it's in DC, and it's been rated the #2 like club venue in the world for the past 3 years, #1 in the US.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on that 2023. We'll see if it's #1 still. I'm not sure. I think Brooklyn Mirage might take it over. I don't know. Everyone's talking about Brooklyn Mirage. That's my next bucket list. I gotta shoot there. Yeah, Insta is a great place for making portfolios for photographers, and also a lot of my filmmaking friends, even just like posting reels on there, I found is good for people. Just like camera, like your B cam reels or whatever you have.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. I struggle with the motivation to do reels and short form stuff, but it is really powerful. It's really important. It's really cool that I feel like you've like you seem like a real natural for what you're stepping into, kind of like if you, because some people bounce right off of that social side of it, and they're just like, wait, no, 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 this isn't what I wanted. I just want to kind of do the, I just want to take the photos and like not talk to anybody. But if you're willing to, I do feel like, especially with like live concert photography, because with EDM too, it's like you can get hired. You might be getting hired by the artists and their manager, or you might be getting hired by like the promoter of the event.
Yep.
And those are also two opportunities every single time you go out to make a new connection. I feel like you can just go. You can go from like nothing to like working a lot, probably really fast in EDM, especially.
100%. Like when I was shooting for Odd Kid Out and Son, I was shooting for Odd Kid Out at a San Holo show. That's the picture that was used for that.
By the way,
I met like
I do want to say the feature that lets me show the stuff is not, the button is just not showing up. But I'm gonna be re-editing all of these, and I will add in I'll add in images. So
okay, cool.
So the permanent version of this can have photos, because that would be really nice to see, because they're beautiful.
If you want, I can pull stuff up on my phone and show the camera too.
That'd be cool. That would help. Actually, yeah.
Let me pull up these photos from the San Holo show. But as you were saying, you know, when I was there and I was just backstage watching San Holo set, along walked this woman that is like one of the head representatives for Steez Promo, which is like a big EDM promotion company in the DC area. So it's like, you know, she followed me back on Instagram, and now like it's like that's another point of contact that if I see a Steez show and I don't necessarily get booked by the artist, I can go and get booked by the promotion company.
Yeah. That's like it's. I feel like especially with EDM, there's just so many directions to get hired by. Like I feel like you stepped right into the perfect thing, and you're like the perfect person for it. Kind of, it's cool. I can tell you really like love it too, which is above all, you know, that's the biggest thing. You know, that energy is really, people will feel that too every time you go out and shoot. You know,
100%. And like, I know night shift wise, like I know one night, I think it was probably like close to a month ago, Caitlin and I had a very nice therapy session in the group call, in like one of the voice channels in the night shift.
That makes me so happy.
I don't feel like I even discussed it. Like I suffer from a lot of anxiety stuff, and especially social anxieties with people that I haven't met before. You know, if I've met you once, I'm totally fine. But so I do have trouble, you know, with that social interaction, messaging people, emailing people, totally fine. But like when I get to the venue and it's my first time meeting the artist, I don't want to overstep boundaries. I don't want to create a bad, so like I'm always like weary of like going and meeting them at the green room when they haven't told me to meet them at the green room, stuff like that. And it's just stuff that I've been learning, that even though I don't think that I'm doing this, it's like you got to treat everyone like, you know, everyone's just a normal person, like, and you don't need to have this kind of feeling of, oh, this is someone important, I need to be a little bit freaked out right now. And I feel like having that thought process has helped me a lot in terms of like that first interaction with both the management team and also with the artist themselves.
Yeah. I will say, you know, I this is the kind of thing I think about a lot. Like, as you know, it has required a lot of conscious thought for me to like figure out my relationship to social interaction sometimes. And I used to worry so much about, what if they don't like me, or like what if, you know, and I would go out of my way, and I'd almost be like a little bit fake because I was like afraid of not being liked. And it's the most liberating thing ever to arrive at the point, and I feel like everyone will arrive at a certain point where they go like, wait, no, I'm just gonna be myself. If someone doesn't like me, it probably says more about them than me. And there's 8 billion people in the world. I just don't care. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's the biggest name in the world. They don't like me. It's like, all right, go. Like, just we'll go somewhere else. It's like, and I feel like that the ironic thing is that ends up making it so when you walk in rooms, people probably like you more too, because you're like, you know, it's like people like that. If you're just like confident in your skin and kind of like can roll with the punches, like that's a vibe.
Yep, 100%. And yeah, it's like the other part of the anxiety I feel like for me has also been because I go and like shoot different venues, and like it'll be a new venue that I haven't shot before. It's like the anxiety of prior to getting there of like, fuck, am I gonna like have are they gonna give me trouble with getting my AA pass, or you know, all that stuff. And it's just just gotta take a deep breath a lot of times. Also, like that first step, I know you feel this because I felt it all the time as a performer when I was doing musical theater. But that first step out on the stage, even though I'm not the DJ, I'm out there, I'm capturing it for him. I still have those nerves of I can't fuck this up, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's those initial nerves. But I'm sure you. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but it's that feeling once you're already out there, and you've gone through one song, and it's like, okay, I got
Yeah.
this, you know.
For me, usually it's literally been like after the first 10 seconds, I'm fine. It's just like, but literally because like, usually there's a technology factor to what I'm doing. So sometimes they're just like, is it gonna work? It's like I
Yeah,
know it,
100%.
you know. And sometimes it doesn't, and that's the I've been there where it's like you go out because you do your little line check right when you like go up, but you don't get to make sound because that ruins the beginning of the show. So it's kind of on some like, okay, cool, it looks like there's sound, and then you're just supposed to trust, and then 99% of the time there will be sound when you're supposed to start, but then every once in a while it's just like, oh no, the sound guy's asleep, and nothing happens. And everyone knows. Everyone I do feel like is like, oh, something's weird right now, but it's okay. I feel like people like it more when something doesn't go right too. If everything goes perfectly, it's kind of boring and forgettable. You know.
Yeah, and I feel like with any kind of music, you know, I feel like there's always going to be one thing that just isn't right. Like I know, like you know, I've had times where like the DJ, you know, he gets up there and then like the DJ before him had turned down all the EQ knobs like all the way down. And they're like, fuck.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, and I also want to talk about this film that I've been working on.
Yeah. I'd love to hear about that. Yeah, I was like getting more into the film side of your site. So yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, so on my site, which I know is also linked in the description of here, I have some of my short films that I worked on in college. But so I'm currently working on the first film outside of college for myself. It's a feature film. I don't know if anyone here is like older horror fans. So the director / writer of the film is Sean Whalen, who has been in like he's been in so many things. He's an old high school friend of my mom. He's been in like It's Always Sunny. He's most notable for he was in Twister. He was in People Under the Stairs. Tons of things. I knew him best growing up as he was in Wizards of Waverly Place. The episode, it's the Halloween episode, and he comes from like the Halloween dimension or whatever. And I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about. I'm gonna do it anyways. He goes like,
yeah,
booty booty boo. That's my thing. That's my favorite thing. I grew up on that shit, and it's like I'm working with him now. It's so crazy. I'm his on the film. I'm the director's personal assistant, but I'm also director's assistant. I'm first AC, so I'm working the camera. I'm working B camera, and then I've also been in charge of doing all the Indiegogo stuff because it is, even though we have some high name actors in this production, it's still very much an independent horror film. That's
horror.
You know,
I feel like
we had to get some. It's honestly, it's like a horror comedy. It's a horror comedy creature flick of some sort. I'll explain it. So it's about this guy in he was Sanders and Twister 100%. He folded the maps wrong. He wrote this film in a time of major depression for him when his ex-wife left him, and it was kind of just his depression piece of him being able to pour things out. And he's been working on it for over 6 years, and it's finally came to the point that he's trying to, you know, that we're making it. And yeah, it's been splendid to work on. It's basically about this guy Vegas Winters, who's an ex-child actor, which is basically Sean as well. And it's I don't want to go too far into it, but he basically has he owns a laundromat. It's a little vile, but he has a pile of socks he lives in the back office. He has a pile of socks that he blows his nose into, uses after pleasuring himself, and then cries into them and gives these socks life.
Wow.
it's pretty weird. I don't want to like spoil anything, but it gets pretty wild. I do want to mention
premise I haven't seen. It has a little Tim and Eric's bedtime stories vibe to it to me. Like,
yeah, and
truly heinous ideas.
One thing that's very interesting about it is that the whole film is being shot in black and white. Which I
like that. You know, yeah,
it's interesting. It's very interesting. Very noir kind of lighting on it. It's very awesome looking.
All digital, like Alexa, or like what's the format?
We're shooting on Sony FX3s because they got Netflix approved and they're cheap.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, they're sick. Me and Jacqueline have one around here. Yeah.
Let me pull up actually this. I'll show like a couple. I'll send you these two if you want to edit them in. But here's some like stills that we have. This is Sean Whalen, who's our like the lead protagonist. And then we don't have any actual shots of Crust, but I can show you him right here. This is like one of our promo pictures.
Oh yeah,
that is the sock monster.
Cool.
So
this all adds up.
Yeah, it's been going splendidly. Some of the other more high-profile actors that we have there are Ricky Dean Logan, who I know is in like Back to the Future Part 2 and stuff. And then one of my favorites, Alyssa Rose, who, if you've ever seen Sleepaway Camp, or if anyone in here has seen Sleepaway Camp,
but yeah,
amazing film. She's well regarded in like horror community. Cool. Danny Roebuck is in it. He just recently played what is it? He played the Count in the new Munsters movie.
Okay, cool.
He was also in that episode of Wizards of Waverly Place with Sean Whalen. He played the mayor of the town.
That's so cool that you've like stepped right into this like circle that like ties back to your like childhood favorite thing to you.
It's so when I told him that, he was like, "How did you know that?" And then I told him I'm 23, and he was like, "Oh shit!" Like, because everyone, I'm like, there's one person that's younger than me, but other than that, like everyone's in their 30s or so, working on this film. But it's that hasn't caused any any problems. But lastly, one of the probably the most he's the person that shows up first when you go on our IMDb page. We have Alan Ruck is in the film, who stars in Succession. He was also a co-star of Twister with
that's a good
Sean. Yeah, so
man,
crazy.
I mean, well, that's amazing. I love that this is happening for you. Like that's like I feel like it's especially with your nature. Like it seems like it'll just roll on from there. We're going to be talking in 6 months, and you're going to have 2-3 more films you're getting booked for. I feel like, and not to like I'll knock on wood because for superstition, but like it just feels like that's kind of the vibe. That's what
I definitely hope, and I've already I'm not trying to sound egotistical or anything, but I did have like some of the producers like come up to me and say that they're like extremely impressed with my work ethic, and that they're going to contact me when they have more projects coming up, because along with all the actual like production work I've done, I did a whole lot of pre-production work for them, making a whole bunch of sheets, whole bunch of documents for them. So as much as I want to do obviously film work, it's like I obviously have the ability and knack to be able to do producing work as well, it seems, because I was doing quite a lot of emailing and stuff. Yeah.
Is your ultimate goal like more on like the director of photography side or directing, or are you kind of still like in polymath mode sort of and want to do it all?
Okay, so when I
saw on your site that you've like you write, you direct, you do kind of all of it. So
yeah, well, okay, so all the films that I wrote on my thing, it was just like I had to write a film for my
That's
class.
So many people's stories.
I'm not a writer. I don't enjoy writing films at all. It's not my cup of tea. I do enjoy helping writers edit their pieces, like giving them constructive criticism on that. I'm totally happy doing that, but just I'm not a putting words down on paper kind of guy personally.
Yeah.
But so when I first started really getting into film, I went to this camp that was like half the day was athletics and the other half was technology, and I always did filmmaking. And I was I did it for, I went there for like 6 years, and then I worked as a counselor there, as a filmmaking counselor for a couple of years. My main thing that I was always super interested in was editing. It was always the post-production work. But being in college and having the opportunities to use nicer equipment, use nice cameras, and be pulled on to projects that I might have not originally been like, oh, I would want to work on that project. But then after working on that project, I'm like, oh, I'm really glad I worked on that project.
Yeah.
I've kind of shifted. I still love editing, and I still do video editing. Like whenever I'm doing raw clips for EDM people, I color grade it, I trim it down for them.
Yeah.
But I feel like camera work, especially because I did, a bunch of photography classes, so I was doing camera work there too. I feel like both of those things kind of together kind of did push me in a direction of wanting to do, the behind the camera work a little bit more. One thing I have never been interested in was doing sound work, because I hate editing sound. It's one of my least favorite things. I just don't understand.
Yeah, that's my life.
And you have no idea the amount of times that I've gotten a cracked version of FL Studio and then deleted it a day later because I'm like, I just can't figure this out.
Yeah,
I just can't do it.
It can be kind of intangible, I will say, and that can drive you insane.
I'll watch a 2-hour fucking tutorial and I'm just like, yeah, I can't do this. I'll try again in a year.
Yeah. You don't have to do it all. You do a lot already, it seems like. So
Caitlin said same.
Yeah, leave it to people. Leave the sound stuff to people like me that are in too deep to change now.
In terms of the film, it's been going fantastic. We started shooting on May 1st and we're ending on May 15th.
Nice quick shoot. That's great.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing this this live stream at the time that we did, because we're only doing night because we're shooting in a laundromat, and it costs a lot of money to rent out a laundromat during the days and everything. We're shooting there we get there at 7:30 p.m. and we leave at 6 a.m.
Oh man.
So,
yeah. I've only we did the only overnight shoot I've ever done was when we did the Dissolve video and we rented out the pool. Those were overnight shoots, and it absolutely is life destroying. I doing it for 2 weeks is just you are on another planet, I imagine, at this point.
Yeah, it's and I feel like, oh shit, I totally lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I got it.
Overnight shoots, and they're doing the stream later on.
Oh yeah, it's and it was weird because I was already getting used to the LA time difference, because I'm used to East Coast, and then I was like, oh, you got used to the 3-hour difference. Guess what? Now you're just gonna totally switch it even more. And I was like, fuck. Yeah. But I haven't gotten super sick, which is nice. I was really concerned about that because I have such a weak immune system, and I know when I go and do EDM shows, if I'm booked 2 nights in a row, I'm probably gonna get a little sick, because not only am I shooting, but then I stay up for another 4 hours afterwards editing, so I can have the deliverables ready within 12 hours or whatever, because I try to be proficient with timing.
Yeah, you're I feel like your self-care game, you gotta maintain that really hard, doing the kind of work you're doing, everything you can possibly 100%. Do to stack the deck.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how artists do it without being fuck, I can't do this.
For me, it was always just I would just get through on sheer adrenaline as long as I had to, and then the moment I got home, my body inherently knew that, and it had saved up all of the sickness, and I would just be obliterated for a week, basically. So there is a kind of when you really want to do something, you your body almost knows it, and it goes okay, all right.
Yeah. And I guess going along with that, I feel like I'm just gonna throw this out there. I feel like I've been drinking too much Red Bull recently. I feel like it's bad for me.
Red Bull?
I'll go to an EDM show. I'll go to an EDM show and just down like 4 Red Bulls throughout the night. I'm like, this is probably not good for me.
Well, that's also what's going to be available too. Like in terms of like anything that's not like, you don't want to be like drinking alcohol all night if you can help it, because that'll add up really fast. And like, but what's going to be available to keep you going is Red Bull. Like, and that absolutely is like not the best.
Although I went to Desert Hearts on Sunday. It's usually held out like I guess out on a reservation in the desert in California, but this year it was at the LA Coliseum. Mm-hmm. No Red Bull. They didn't sell any Red Bull. I was like, you're doing a disservice to the EDM community right now.
Yeah, how do you expect any of us to be vertical right now?
I don't know. It was wild. But yeah. I don't know if anyone has any questions. I'm gonna pull up that Google form because I know he asked me a couple questions I don't want to.
Yeah, well, you get into that too. I'll open up the fan line really quick. They call it the fan line. It's just the line. Yeah. And if someone wants to call in, just as a heads up, I got about 15 minutes left. I'm like moving right now, so it's like, but I would love to also have you back on in the future and like update on projects and let's like, hey, this is great,
I would love to do that. Yeah, I would, especially like once we get a trailer out for this film. I'd love to hop on.
Please do. I did want to ask, like, one question I've had in my mind, like I haven't had a chance to ask on this too, is just like when you're outside of all the like social stuff and the job side of this stuff, like when you've got the camera in your hand and you're like, okay, I'm like stepping into a situation, I'm gonna creatively, do you think more like documentarian, I'm gonna capture, or does your creative impulse kick in the sense of like looking for the magic? Like what do you feel when you're like, you get the camera in your hand, you walk into a situation?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm much more so, I mean, it really depends on kind of what I'm shooting. For EDM, I'm always searching for that perfect shot. Yeah. I'm always searching for when those lights are hitting perfect, like that shot that I shared for the cover photo. Yeah. I love that one because the lights are just coming in. I exposed it like to the point that I'm super happy with it. But part of my problem is I'm not great at directing people for photos. I'm not great at like doing like publicity photos for people because I'm not great at being like, oh, do this, do that. I'm much more so I'm in the moment. I'm watching it through my camera, but at the same time, I'm trying to think of. I'm not only looking at it from like the camera perspective, but also thinking of like if you're watching this, if you're watching the video that I'm shooting, or if you're looking at the pictures that I'm taking, like, is this going to be something that will stand out to someone, or is it going to be something that's just another picture of someone DJing?
Yeah.
I feel like that is one of the main things, and I can see that with all the people that have Discord channel when they're posting their pictures. It's like you can see the ones that are getting these big bookings are the ones that are taking those creative choices and are pushing themselves to get those really interesting and unique photos.
Yeah, I like that approach too. It's like you're really like floating through a space and like you just know when you see it, kind of, you're like, there it is. Like it's like everything, those perfect moments. I mean, Caitlin had a really good question in the chat too. Your thought process on composition and editing and color grading. I feel like that's a good one.
So composition wise, I mean, it really depends on, again, what I'm shooting. I'm going to talk about EDM photography right now. It depends on the venue that I'm shooting at. Typically the venues are fairly symmetrical, but sometimes we'll get some things off. I mean, I'm a huge, I'm such a terrible film person. Why can I not think of names? I'm like, that's my one thing, is like names. I can't do like directors' names or actors' names or anything. Okay, Wes Anderson. I love that symmetrical look. Obviously his coloring is fantastic on those, but I just love symmetrical photos that just look like it's just perfectly in the middle. So if I'm able to go and get crowd shots like that, 100%, I love getting pictures like that. I think I did send you one. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick. Like stuff like this, even though this is perfectly symmetrical because the place has these poles running down, still it's, let me turn up my brightness.
I get the Wes Anderson thing from some of your calibration photos, by the way. They're really perfectly like framed up. Yeah, that's cool. I love that one.
That's I like rule is like my main thing. It needs to, like, even though I don't like run a grid or anything on my screen on my camera, I have that mental grid
Oh yeah.
of like it needs to be centered up in a certain space. But then obviously, you know, it's as I was saying, it's kind of in that moment. Sometimes I'm not necessarily composing them, like I'm not thinking about how I'm composing them. It's just I'm just taking that shot when I see that, like when I hear that beat's building up and I can see that the lighting director's finger is on the button about to hit the nitrous cans or whatever, the CO2 cans, not nitrous. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong head. You know, I know I'm about to hold down my shutter and get a whole bunch of pictures of all that smoke coming up. For color grading wise, I wish I could give you like really good answers on that. I'm not great at color grading. I have some presets on Lightroom that I've like tweaked and worked on and made throughout like the past couple months. My main thing is I really enjoy I mean, it's weird because a lot of times when you're shooting EDM photography, it's hard to work with colors because sometimes you'll have like, you know, a picture that you take and it's a great picture, but all the light that's on the person is like washing them out in red.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can take back some of that red, but it's hard to get back some of that data because it's, you know, it's all red.
Yeah. It's a blur.
And I wish I could answer this question a bit better because I'm just not a huge colorist. You know, in all my films that I've worked on, I've never been the person to color grade it. I don't know the ins and outs of it. Kind of just tweak it to the point that I think that it looks good. I will say that I do enjoy, one of my favorite things I do is I have this one filter or preset that I made for Lightroom that is basically black and white, but keeps the reds.
Cool.
So I have a couple photos that like, you know, you can see like all the red lighting on their turntable or whatever, but everything else is in black and white. I really like that kind of thing because I feel like it brings the eyes to different things. I did it kind of with one shot of Odd Kid Out because he has dyed pink hair, so it kind of got the pink in his hair, but everything else was all grayed out, so that was kind of sick too.
Those are really good with the pink hair. Yeah, the red and grayscale thing's a great signature. Yeah, that's like,
thank you.
You should keep that going.
Like, yeah, because I feel like you know, obviously the color pictures look great, but I do think that some of those pictures in black and white do bring out things. I don't know. I also started shooting in black and white, like editing photos in black and white a little bit more once I got this gig because I wanted to like mess around with black and white a little bit because I knew we were going to film in black and white.
Like there's something like that about black and white that removes like time context from something and it feels legendary. It feels like classic and it feels 100%. Like there's something, especially for music stuff, because I know what you mean, like, because if it's too I think like with like EDM photography, it's like I feel like what you don't want to end up in is this sort of like like it's like an advertisement for a club on a billboard look, you know, which is like such an overfamiliar thing. It's like no, like take this, like, and I can see how like that red grayscale approach instantly takes it outside of that to some like elevating it to this art level of like, no, this is what it feels like it was in hindsight in your brain. You know what I mean? Like it's a little different.
100%. And like part of my, I feel like vision when I am doing any coloring stuff is, you know, I don't want it to look like it was just like an Instagram filter or something put on it. So I do enjoy certain shots where, you know, I'll push the saturation, I'll get those colors really popping. But a lot of times when I start doing that stuff, I look at the picture and I'm just like, fuck, it just looks like someone put it on Instagram and just like swiped until there was a filter that they liked. And I like, it's the same thing when I'm like editing videos to post on TikTok. It's like, I have done some that are like, you know, TikTok format where I have text on the screen and stuff. I just kind of hate that in my, like, I don't know what it is. I just like, you know, obviously, you know, I guess part of it is just like wanting to like, you know, be unique and not original. But I feel like also, at least in my mind, I don't know. I feel like certain times that I've put filters that I've worked on or template, when I put presets from Lightroom on photos, I'll look at it and yeah, I'll just be like, I don't know. It'll turn a photo that I'm super proud of into something that I wouldn't want to post anywhere.
Yeah.
Just because of the coloring on it. So it is a super important thing. Like, there's been times that I'm like, I'd rather post the raw picture
Absolutely.
with no editing on it.
I was just gonna say, it's like I feel like the best thing to do after any edit too is to flip back to that original and just be like, because keeping it raw, you can feel that it was kept raw, and that says something totally valid too. And I think like that's like a really cool aspect, is being like, no, like the fact that you can feel the straight out of the camera-ness sometimes is part of the thing. So it's cool that you do reference that way, like back as that being a possibility.
Yeah. All right. I want to answer these questions for Alex Cook, who's from the Night Shift Discord, real quick. Films that inspired me to study film. I have like the most basic top 2 list of films. Fight Club and Donnie Darko are like,
yep, great,
just fantastic. I know everyone's like, oh, if you meet a man and he says his favorite movie is Fight Club, run away. But like, it's like, I fucking love that movie, even though there's like all that shit going on. Like, I think part of the reason why I love Fight Club so much is the first time that I watched it not knowing anything about the movie. I feel like a lot of people watch it and they know what's happening. I had no clue until the end, which I think really sold it for me. Yeah. Also, and then Donnie Darko is just fantastic.
That's one of my all-time favorites.
The soundtrack for that just gets me going.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the Blair Witch Project? If you've seen it, love the Blair Witch Project. They shot it, and it is like, set in a set of woods that is like 30 minutes from my house. So pretty dope, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let me see what people are saying. Caitlin said sometimes with editing it'll pull the viewer out of the environment. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I want to say too, while we because Caitlin's asking some good questions, so we have her on next week as well. So I'm really excited to have her on as the guest for next week's thing. So everybody tune in for that. It's going to be a good one too. I know we all
awesome.
Anyone knows Caitlin very well at this point. So yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any camera brands that you like to shoot with, and any specific lenses that you favor? I am currently shooting on a Sony A7R5, which is their newest camera for the A7R series. That's like, they have like different series that are for like the A7 IV is like, they're like, in between camera, can do both things great. Mine is more so set for photography, but I can get great video stuff on it. Lens wise, like, I'm just out of college. I'm still a broke boy. I'm just buying Tamron lenses. They're still like $1,000 a lens, but
they're great.
It's better than $2,000 for a Sony that and then I don't have it with me, but TT Artisan 11mm fisheye. It's full frame, $230 on Amazon. Well worth the money if you need a fisheye. Great sharpness.
Oh, Caitlin is pointing out that it's the 24th originally. Could be a placeholder date. Just anyone who's like curious about that, like the dates, the updated dates are on nightshift.world. Just I wanted to say that, but yeah, cool. Yeah, it's cool you're on Sony. That's been like, I got an FX3 not like last year, and to try to start doing stuff, and I haven't used it nearly as much as I wanted, but I like the Sony stuff, but
Sony is killing it with that. You have the FX3, that dual ISO on there, being able to go between 800 and what is it,
12,800.
Yeah,
those two.
Insane. That's so amazing, especially for like what I do, because I do so much low light stuff.
Yeah,
I need that.
Yeah.
Caitlin said fisheye lenses are so sick. I'm glad they're in style right now. 100%. And I'm glad I brought mine with me to California, because my DE used my fisheye for 2 shots on the movie so far. So
cool.
I was very happy about that.
I'm so excited for you with this film thing. Like, that's like, I didn't expect to be hearing about that. That's so great. Like,
it's been crazy. And like, I went to my first Hollywood party like the other weekend. It was crazy. It was cool.
Oh, you don't get too swept away, man. It's weird.
Don't worry. I don't know. Everyone's been telling me that like they could see that I like if I told them that I was from LA, that they could totally believe it. But like, it's so weird. I've always considered myself like such an East Coast person. I thought it was going to be so different over here, but the main difference over here is just that you can drive for 8 hours and still be in the same state. That's the main difference. 8 hours in the East Coast. 8 hours in the East Coast, then you can be in 4 different states.
Yeah. You'll still be in LA. You'll be like 3 miles down the road in LA at the same time.
You he also asked for tips for dealing with low light clubs. Yeah, so as we were just talking about, for video, the Sony A7S III and the FX3, all those ones that share the same internal components, that dual ISO for filming is great. I wish they had a dual ISO for photography, but they don't yet. Hopefully soon. That is one of the things that is kind of a problem with the camera that I have, because my camera is a 61.4 megapixel sensor. So when you have such a large sensor and you have any noise caused by a high ISO, that noise is amplified because there's so many more pixels for it to show up on. But AI is crazy.
Yeah.
Lightroom just implemented, but there's this program Topaz that you just put it in there and all that noise is gone and you don't lose any, you don't get artifacts. It's crazy. It's super helpful. So like if you do low light stuff and you're getting a lot of noise, I would really look into these AI programs. There's DxO, there's as I said, Lightroom just put it in, and then there's Topaz Labs. And then one last, he said, based on your shorts, do you have a top floor where you live? Okay. Oh, so he's talking about one of my films. That was a film. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna answer this question just for you. I kind of based that off of. I'm a huge Twilight Zone fan. The short was basically that these guys were living in their apartment, and all their stuff slowly started to go missing. And then the guys keeps on hearing noises above him in his bedroom when he's trying to sleep. One night, the noises are too loud. He goes upstairs trying to figure out what's going on. He finds all of his stuff in this apartment above him, goes downstairs with all the stuff, tells his roommate what happens, and his roommate tells him that they live on the top floor. And his friend tries to go show him the staircase that he took, and the staircase isn't there. And it's all this, loosely based on some Twilight Zone kind of feel to that, But
Twilight Zone's a big Night Shift inspiration, so that's right.
He also asked a Night Shift question. Sorry, he said, do the Night Shift coordinates freak you out given the tweets in the safe haven? So I also did a short film that I made in the middle of quarantine at home with my ex-girlfriend, and I was just like, I made it about, it was like basically some monster movie where you never actually see the monster, and there's coordinates. Night Shift coordinates, I guess. I feel like it's not the Night Shift coordinates that freak me out. I feel like it's everything with Night Shift kind of freaks me out. Everything's just going so far over my head at certain points. I'm like,
It'll be.
But I don't know. I think the thing that's freaked me out the most in terms of the Night Shift world was when modern people joined the stream and then that stream just died. That's the weirdest thing to me.
I cannot wait to go deeper into the modern people thing. Oh my God, you have no idea. We know some things. We're discovering it together, obviously, but like, damn,
it's so awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot around the corner. Hey, I want to throw out there with everything you're doing too. Like we should also talk about doing some stuff inside of Night Shift with your particular interests. I feel 100%. Like it makes total sense.
Yeah. So. Definitely, yeah. Like whatever ideas you have, just like I'm totally down for whatever. I'm always down for doing some creative stuff with other creative
We'd all love that. Maybe like we even like, I know you said you're not your favorite thing isn't pen to paper, so maybe we link up with someone whose favorite thing is pen to paper a little bit and talk about some stuff soon. But Ethan, I gotta run. I would love to have you back on in the future, maybe like a couple months, like maybe 2 months, and we get some updates on these projects and like let's hang again. This is so great. Thank you so much for coming on. It's really good to like you're so giving with like your perspective and both like socially and also just like from the technical side of what you do. I really, really appreciate it. I'm sure everybody really enjoyed that. It was I'm really looking forward to having you back on in the future. This is great. I feel like we're gonna watch an ascent of your career across this year even.
I hope so. Thank you so much for having me on. This has been awesome. It's been great talking with you and talking with everyone in the chat. And yeah, if you're in the chat and you're not already in the Discord, join the Discord.
Yeah. Please, everybody, join the Discord. I will, the link is around. I don't know where right now. If you go to the YouTube, it's like up near the top.
I think it's because I think it's also like in your link in bio. I've had to look it up before. I think it's somewhere. I'm not sure.
It's on that Reddit start here thing. I know it's all a mess.
I've seen it around somewhere. I got invited, and I just wanted to mention I got invited to Night Shift by my mom. So if you're watching, Mom, shout out to you. Thank you.
That's cool. Thanks, Ethan's mom. Cool. All right. Well, hey, Ethan, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much again. And thank you everyone for coming and hanging out with us. You can chat more with us and Ethan in the Discord. And yeah, we've got, Caitlin coming on, I guess not next week, but go to nightshift.world and there's a live stream schedule. And yeah, we'll get you back on and let's hang more. And like, we'd love to have you on repeatedly and just like, you're always going to be doing stuff. You're always going to have something new to talk about,
Awesome.
Cool, man.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you, Ethan, again. And thanks everyone in the chat. Let's see you all soon.